And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And if you have not been around on the internet and social media in the last 24 hours, I don't know how you could not, but boy, have you missed a huge announcement that USA Rugby has dropped on all of us. It is the summer of rugby going down later in this year, in the summer of 2025. Six huge rugby matches involving the USA men's and women's here in the United States in five different events or states. It is amazing. It is one of the biggest events of rugby in one entire calendar year, and as far back as I can remember, that involves both again the men's and the women's. And we actually technically still have at least one other USA men's match yet to be announced, because if you follow USA Rugby, especially the men's side, we do have the return of the Pacific Nations tournament that involves USA, Japan, Canada, Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga, which will be the finals and the semifinals will be hosted in the United States this year. So there's at least one more USA men's match going to happen later on in this year in America. And of course, then we also have the fall international matches. So there might be at least another one. So a huge calendar year for men's and women's USA Rugby. And considering the USA women's team will be preparing for the Rugby World Cup that will be happening later on this year in England, and of course the USA men's preparing for the men's Rugby World Cup happening in 2027. Man, it is going to be exciting stuff here in the United States with rugby, and I am super excited because it really starts to show the growth of rugby here in the United States. And Rugby411, of course, is here to talk about it and preview a little bit early because things can change as we're leading up, but I just wanted to give you all the 411 and information on what these matches are and what they mean for both the men's and women's side. So, first of all, these are all the events. Let's start with the first one happening later on in April. April 26th, Saturday, Women's USA Rugby, which is currently ranked number 9. And again, these things can all change, against Japan, ranked number 11. That will take place at the Wallis Annenberg Stadium in Los Angeles, California, at the UCLA campus, home of the RFCLA MLR team. It will actually be a doubleheader. The women's and Japan's match the women's USA and Japan match will happen before the San Diego LA Cali Cup match in Annenberg Stadium. So come out for a double dose of USA Rugby, or basically rugby for men's and women's. Super excited for this. Now, just a little preview of this match. This is going to be kind of a warm-up match for the USA women's as they prepare for the Pacific 4 competition that the USA will be taking on against Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. This will actually be only the 5th time that the USA women's team has ever faced against Japan. The USA has never lost against Japan. They have a record of 3 wins with just 1 draw. The last time that these two faced was actually a year ago. I'm sorry, not a year ago. It was actually last year in August, when the USA women's were able to beat Japan. And then prior to that, just a year earlier, was their 1 draw. But this should be a very exciting match. This is the first time that the women's Japan 15s team will be competing in America. So considering being Japanese American, this is honestly a really cool opportunity to see the Japanese women's team play here. Now, the Japanese sevens team, women's rugby team, just recently upsetted the USA sevens team in the sevens competition that happened up in Vancouver earlier, actually late last month. So there's some players from the sevens team that play on both the 15s team for the US and women in Japan. So it will be an interesting matchup to see as these two throw down. Next, May 2nd, which is a Friday, that will be the kickoff for the USA Women's for the before mentioned Pacific 4 competition, as USA, ranked again number 9, could change, taking on the number 2 ranked team currently, the Canadian women's team. That's going to be a huge showdown. That's going to take place at the CPKC Stadium. That stands for the Canadian Pacific. The Canadian Railway Company. The Canadian Pacific Kansas City Stadium. The Canadian Pacific is a railway company that is located in Canada that owns the stadium that's located in Kansas City, Missouri. It is also a soccer stadium which holds about 11,500 people. It is home to the Kansas City Current, which is a women's soccer team. Obviously, just like with the USA men's, the USA women and Canadian women, they have easily the biggest rivalry in USA women's rugby history. They have faced off against each other a whopping 46 times. And in that, the Canadian women actually are ahead of the USA women, 27 wins to the USA women's 19. Now, just recently, the Canadian women have been on a hot streak, having beaten the USA women's 9 straight times. That's right. The last time that the USA women have won was back in 2019 in Chula Vista, of all places, California. USA women barely squeaked by Canada 20-18. The last time that these two have faced was actually a year ago in LA at Dignity Health Sports Park, which I announced that game. It was the kickoff again of the Pacific Four Nations tournament for last year. Unfortunately, USA fell to Canada in that game. But again, this is a very heated rivalry, very lopsided rivalry. Canada has been very, very strong in the recent years. Again, their number 2 rank is well deserved. So this will be a tough challenge for USA women's. But again, if you're in the Kansas City area, come on out, support your women's rugby team. Then we jump to July 5th, which is Saturday, and we're going to have a series of Saturday matches, which will be focusing on the men's competition to begin with. July 5th, Saturday, men's USA rugby team, ranked number 15, will take on for the very first time Netherlands, which is currently ranked 27. And then the following weekend, July 12th, men's USA men's rugby team will take on the 16th ranked Spain. Both of those games will be happening at the American Legion Memorial Stadium, which is located in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is home to the Anthem Rugby Carolina team from Major League Rugby. So again, as I mentioned before, the Netherlands is the very first time that USA has ever played Netherlands. So this will be an interesting chance for the Netherlands rugby team, which is slowly starting to kind of come up. Obviously, rugby is pretty much as foreign a sport to the Netherlands as it is kind of currently here in the United States. So a big opportunity for Netherlands to kind of gain some big time international competition. Netherlands being ranked 27th, they are the lowest ranked team in this series of events, a series of test matches that the USA team will face. And then Spain. Spain has been a pretty constant rival in the recent years for the USA. USA has never lost to Spain. They are 5-0. The last time that these two played against each other was just last year in November. In Spain, USA barely won 26-23. So hopefully, and Spain is on the rise. Spain actually just came up because they did a pretty good appearance in the recent European Rugby Championship. So again, 16 right below number 15 USA. This will be a pretty competitive match. Again, if you're in the North Carolina area, obviously come out and see those. You'll have back-to-back weekends of men's USA action. Then, the coup de grace, the final big event of this series of events for the summer of rugby. In July 19th, that following Saturday after the match with Spain, it is a USA Rugby doubleheader as we have the women's USA team taking on currently number 16 ranked Fiji, and the men's team, this is the big one, will then take on number 6 ranked England. Both of those games will happen at Audi Field. that is located in Washington, D.C. Audi Field is a huge soccer stadium, hosts 20,000 seats. It is home to the DC United soccer team and also apparently home to the DC Defenders, the United Football League, the spring football team. So this is going to be a huge matchup. This is the very first time that the USA Women's has ever faced against the Fijian Women's, the Fijianas. So this is a big opportunity also for the Fijianas to be in the United States for the very first time. And then for the United States with England, the USA surprisingly has only faced England 7 times. Unfortunately, USA has never beaten England in any of those 7 times. The last couple of times that USA has faced England, the last time was in 2021 when USA went over to the very famous Twickenham Stadium in England, losing to England 43-29, and then a couple years prior to that, in 2019 during the Rugby World Cup in Japan, USA fell to the Red Roses 45-7. But hey, if you saw the score, 45-7 in 2019, and then 43-29 in 2021, if you're being optimistic about it, the gap between the two scores have narrowed a little bit. So we'll see. This, again, is a very big test for the USA team. Also, too, this is going to be prior to later in the year, in November, USA will be taking on Scotland, another big team in Scotland. So honestly, this is huge. It really is showing that USA Rugby is trying their hardest to really give the USA Rugby team, the USA national men's and women's teams, a lot of test matches to really get that synchronicity and really prepare themselves. Again, this match for the women against Fiji is going to be probably the last match before they head off to England for the Rugby World Cup. So a huge opportunity for the USA women to really get some experience playing in front of a home crowd as well. And then, of course, this is going to be a big test for the men as they prepare for the before mentioned Pacific Nations tournament for the men, which will happen later in August, September. So again, just a lot of matches for both men and women. And the complaint for especially the men's team, and I'm pretty sure for the women's as well, is the lack of time for these teams to compete with each other and against some pretty good talented teams, especially England, and especially Canada, which of course the USA Women's have played quite a bit. But this is huge for the men and women, for the United States Rugby in general. And again, I'm super excited for this. I'm hoping to make it out to a couple of these games, actually. The one in Audi Field, the DC one, sounds really enticing. I'm very tempted to make out the trip to go to that one. But again, if you are interested in this, and why wouldn't you be, check out usa.rugby/match series for pre-sale information, as well as to get on a mailing list to be notified when tickets go on sale. These are the dates. Times haven't been settled just yet. But man, if you're in the area, if you're in LA, Kansas City, Charlotte, or the Washington, D.C. area, I highly suggest you give USA Rugby a chance, men and women. You will not be sorely disappointed. And also, too, it'd be a great way to really support the boys and girls, or the boys and ladies in the USA teams, and really give them a chance to show what rugby is and grow the sport of rugby. So again, super excited. So once again, April 12th, we got Saturday, this is technically a doubleheader. Women's USA team taking on Japan right before the Cali Cup between RFCLA and San Diego Legion at Wallis Annenberg Stadium in Los Angeles, California. May 2nd, which is a Friday, USA women will take on the Canadian women in the kickoff match for the Pacific Nations Series. That will be at the CPKC Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. And then July 5th, July 12th, back-to-back weekends, men's team takes on Netherlands and Spain at the American Legion Memorial Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. And then again, the big one, the Coup de Grace doubleheader, July 19th. Women's team takes on the Fijianas, and the men's take on the Red Roses of England at Audi Field in Washington, D.C. Once again, tickets are available. Pre-ticket information is going to be available usa.rugby/match series. Obviously, as we get closer to these events, I will do a more in-detail preview of those games. But yeah, it is a great, great time to be a rugby fan here in the United States. Also, too, hopefully we'll have broadcast information. I'm hoping that it's not on Flow Rugby, which is not the best service. I'm really hoping it'll be available for free on the Rugby Network or ESPN Plus, so that the rest of the world can really get a chance to see and cheer on USA Rugby. So, with that being said, again, thank you very much for checking out my videos. Go support the boys and ladies of USA Rugby. Let's go, USA. Thank you very much for checking out my video, and I'll see you on the pitch.